Okay, 2920 Hearthfire version 9, or volume 9. Hearthfire, book 9 of 2920, the last year of the first era, by Karlovac Townway. And just so you know, you're not the only one, actually. I have about 3 accounts on YouTube. They would all be gone. Anyway. Yeah, I'm not going to end the episode, and this is just basically to give an excuse to pass some time. Hopefully it's not 75,000 years long, but there we go. 2nd of Hearthfire, 2920, Gideon, Blackmarsh. The Empress Tavia lay across her bed. A hot late summer wind she could not feel banging the shutters of her cell to and fro against the iron bars. Okay, fair enough. Her throat felt like it was on fire, but still she sobbed uncontrollably, wringing her last tapestry in her hands. Her wailing echoed throughout the hollow halls of Castle Geovis, stopping maids in their washing and guards in their conversation. One of her women came up the narrow stairs to see the mistress, but her chief guard, Zook, I'm going to assume that's a Z, stood in the doorway and shook his head. She's just heard that her son is dead, he said quietly. Pickles? 5th of Hearthfire, 2920, the Imperial City, Cyrodiil. Your Imperial Majesty, said the potentate Versidu. Versidu Shaye through the door. You can open the door, I assure you. You're perfectly safe. No one wants to kill you. Mara's blood, came the Emperor Raymond III's voice, muffled, hysterical, tinged with madness. Someone assassinated the prince, and he is holding my shield. They could have thought he was me. You're certainly correct, Your Imperial Majesty, replied the potentate, expunging any mocking qualities from his voice, while his black slitted eyes rolled contemptuously. And we must find and punish the evildoer responsible for your son's death, but we cannot do it without you. You must be brave for your empire. There was no reply. At the very least, come out and sign the order for Lady Regia's execution, called the potentate. Let us dispose of the one traitor and assassin we know of. A brief pause, and then a sound of furniture moving across the floor. Scraping across the floor. Raymond opened the door just a crack, but the potentate could see his angry, fearful face and the terrible mound of ripped tissue that used to be his right eye. Despite the best healers in the Empire, it was still a ghastly souvenir of the Lady Regia's work in Thurzo Fortress. Hand me the order, the Emperor snarled. I'll sign it with pleasure. Oh, okay. Monster Hunter. Right, fair enough. 6th of Hearthfire, 2920, Gideon, Cyrodiil. The strange blue glow of the will-o-wisps, a combination, so she'd be told, of swamp gas and spiritual energy, had always frightened Tavia as she looked out of her window. Now it seemed strangely comforting. Beyond the bog lay the city of Gideon. It was funny, she thought, that she had never stepped foot in its streets, though she had watched it every day for 17 years. Can you think of anything I've forgotten? She asked, turning to look back at on the loyal Kothringi Zook. I know exactly what to do, he said simply. He seemed to smile, but the Empress realized that It was only her own face reflected in his silvery skin. Oh! I hope they're in a game at some point. She was smiling, and she didn't even realise it. Make certain you aren't followed, she warned. I don't want my husband to know where my gold's been hiding all these years, and do take your share of it. You've been a good friend. The Empress Tavia, however it was I was pronouncing it, stepped forward and dropped from sight into the mists. Zook replaced the bars on the tower window and threw a blanket over some pillows on her bed. With any luck, they would not discover her body on the lawn until morning, at which time he hoped to be halfway to Morrowind. Huh. Ninth of Hearthfire, 2920, Phrygius High Rock. The trees seemed on all. The strange trees on all sides resembled novelty piles crowned with a great bursts of reds, yellows, and oranges, like insect mounds caught on fire. The Rothgarian mountains were fading into the misty afternoon. Tarala marvelled at the sight, so alien, so different from Morrowind, as she plodded the horse forward into an open pasture. Behind her, head nodding against his chest, Cassia slept, cradling Bosriel. For a moment, Tarala considered jumping the low-painted fence that crossed the field, but she thought better of it. Let Cassia sleep for a few more hours before giving him the reins. As the horse passed into the field, Tarala saw the small greenhouse on the next hill, half hidden in the forest. So picturesque was the image that she felt herself lull into a pleasant half-sleeping state. A blast of a horn brought her back to reality with a shudder. Cassia opened his eyes. "Where are we?" he hissed. "I don't know," Tarala stammered, wide-eyed. "What is that sound?" "Orcs," he whispered. "A hunting party. Head for the thicket quickly." Tarala trotted the horse into the small collection of trees. Cassia handed her the child and dismounted. He began pulling their bags off next, throwing them into the bushes. A sound started, then a distant rumbling of footfall, growing louder and closer. Tarala climbed off carefully and helped Cassia unburden the horse. All the while, Bosriel watched open-eyed. Tarala sometimes worried that her baby never cried. Now she was grateful for it. With the last of the luggage off, Cassia slapped the horse's rear, sending it galloping into the field. Taking Tarala's hand, he bunkered down in the bushes. "With luck," he murmured, "they'll think she's wild or belongs to the farm and won't go looking for the rider." Oh, okie doke, Hazman. As he spoke, a horde of orcs surged into the field, blasting their horns. Tarala had seen such orcs before, but never in such abundance and never with such bestial confidence. Roaring with delight at the horse and its confused state, they hastened past the timber where Cassia, Tarala, and Bosriel hid. The wildflowers flew into the air at their stampede, powdering the air with seeds. Tarala tried to hold back a sneeze, and she thought she succeeded. One of the orcs heard something, though, and brought another with him to investigate. Cassia quietly unsheathed his sword, mustering all the confidence he could. His skills, such as they were inspiring, not combat, but he vowed to protect Tarala and her babe for as long as he could. Perhaps he would slay these two, he reasoned. But before they cried out and brought the rest, not before they cried out and brought the rest of the horde. Suddenly, something invisible swept through the bushes like a wind. The orcs flew backwards, falling dead on their backs. Tarala turned and saw a wrinkled crone with bright red hair emerge from a nearby bush. "I thought you were going to bring him right to me," she whispered. "Best come with me." The three followed the old woman. Christ, how long is this book? Through a deep crevasse of bramble bushes that ran through the field towards the house on the hill. As they emerged on the other side, the woman turned to look at the orcs feasting on the remains of the horse, a blood-soaked orgy to the beat of multiple horns. "That horse yours?" she asked. When Cassia nodded, she laughed loudly. "That's rich meat, that is. Those monsters will have bellyaches and flatulence in the morning. Serves them right." "Shouldn't we keep moving?" whispered Tarala, unnerved by the woman's laughter. "They won't come up here," she grinned, looking at Bosriel, who smiled back. "They're too afraid of us." Tarala turned to Cassia, who shook his head. "Witches. Am I correct in assuming this is old Barbin's farm? The home of the Skeffington Coven?" "You are, pet." The old woman giggled girlishly, pleased to be so infamous. "I am Minister Skeffington." "What did you do to those orcs?" asked Tarala. "Back there in the thicket." "Spirit fist right in the right side of the head," Minister said, continuing the climb up the hill. Ahead of them was the farmhouse grounds. A well, a chicken coop, a pond. I don't know why I said coop then instead of coop. Women of all ages doing chores. Laughter of children at play. The old woman turned and saw that Tarala did not understand. "Don't you have witches where you come from, child?" "None that I know of," she said. "There are all sorts of wielders of magic in Tamriel," she explained. "The Sijics study magic like it's their painful duty. The battle mages in the army, on the other end of the scale, hurl spells like arrows. We witches commune and conjure and celebrate. To fell those orcs, I merely whispered to the spirits of the air, Amaro, Pina, Talatha, the fingers of Kinnereth, and the breath of the world, with whom I have an intimate acquaintance, to smack those bastards dead. You see, conjuration is not about might or solving riddles or agonizing over musty old scrolls. It's about fostering relations. Being friendly, you might say." "Well, we certainly appreciate you being friendly with us," said Cassia. "As well you might," coughed Minister. "Your kind destroyed the orc homeland 2,000 years ago. Before that, they never came all the way up here and bothered us. Now let's get you cleaned up and fed." With that, Minister led them into the farm, and Tarala met the family of the Skeffington Coven. Okay, we'll do the next half of this book next time. But we're going to say that took 2 hours and... it's 2 hours extra sleep, so... Oh, it's supper, yeah. Let's see... Yeah, so we'll sleep 12 hours and then head out to the cave.